Oh, welcome, and good morning, everyone, to the Comic Corner here on the Agents of Fandom Network. You're on Facebook, YouTube, and The Bad Place. My name is Damon. What we do here is comic book news, reviews, and interviews. Oh, man, what a day, what a week for comic books, because we have a lot to get into. I have with me my good friend TJ. Good morning to you.
Good morning, good morning. Hello, everybody. Great to be here. Great to see you all. And I hope you guys are having a great day and read some great books this week because we did, and we're going to talk about them.
Oh, of course we did, because what a week for comics. Let's talk about the rundown real quick. All hands on deck. Absolute Evil #1 dropped. It's kind of like an Absolute Universe year one in a way, like how Marvel did their 1 year in books. And we things happened. We will talk non spoilers and spoilers for that book because it is so wild. Honest Batman talk. Batman #2 dropped today, or technically yesterday, and a lot of people love it. I will give you my honest thoughts on it. We'll leave it at that. And where is the hope? Absolute Superman issue number 11 or 12 came out this week. And one of my big things with that book is Superman. I need Superman book to be full of hope. Do we get that in this issue? We will find out. But first, TJ, I wanted to introduce you to this because I think this is really freaking cool. DC, as we've been talking about, have been killing it on virtually all fronts. Whether it's just been like the absolute line, the main line, I've been, ironically enough, it is part of the title, all in on DC. And seemingly, TJ, so is League of Comic Geeks. And what is League of Comic Geeks for those who do not know? It's my favorite comic app. TJ, I think it may be your favorite comic app. It's some of my friends' favorite comic apps. It's essentially letterboxed, but for comics. You have like community pages. It's a little bit more social media-y than a letterbox, but you can still just like log your comics, track your comics, rate the ones you've read. But it also has like the tracking where you have your pull list, and that's how we're able to tell what we know is coming out next week. And it gives us alerts into when sometimes comics are going to be delayed or not, because that happens in this industry. But DC seemingly has partnered with League of Comic Geeks for their grand DCKO event. We'll talk a little bit about what DCKO is. It's essentially a big tournament to decide who will fight Darkseid. And I just think this is so cool. They have a whole interactive page on the app and the website where it's essentially March Madness, but for DCKO. Like you can fill out your bracket, you get points if your pick goes through, and you get a little badge at the end, like how they do with some of the other community challenges that they've been doing over the past month or two, where they had a community challenge for Superman. You can read a bunch of Superman books and you get little badges. Same thing with Fantastic Four. They've been doing that. They also just did with Minor Threats as well. But DC seemingly all in on it. This is so cool. They have all month. They're doing AMAs, Ask Me Anythings, for all the major writers across the Absolute and All In lines. I think this is so cool, dude.
I think it's great. I think it's awesome. I mean, anything to engage the community more. I think everyone appreciates and I think that's something that's really cool about like the comic space is in the bad place, and I'm sure it's even better on the newer cooler sites like threads and stuff. But when writers are like very open with like communicating with fans and like
Mm-hmm.
very responsive, I think everyone really appreciates and enjoys that. So again, anything I think to involve the community more is a great thing and is a great way to bring people into the fun of it, because like events are supposed to be fun. And I would say I'm not not talking anyone specifically, wink, wink, but events in recent years, in my opinion, have just kind of been like, oh yeah, buy all these books, and not saying that has anything to do with the event being good or bad, but this makes it fun. This is like, not only an event you can get into for the content of it, but it's just kind of like a whole fun thing. So yeah, I've never even really used the social kind of side of comic. I literally just use it to know what's coming out. But yeah, big fan of this. I think we should be doing more stuff like this. Ultimate Endgame, take some notes because this is awesome. This is great.
See, I don't mind the Ultimate Endgame. Yeah, we haven't even gotten to it,
No, I
but
don't mean it in
maybe.
that way, but if they did something
Oh
similar,
yes.
like,
Oh
like a
yes, for
little
sure.
getting
Got it.
fans a little bit
Yep.
more involved, I think that
Yeah.
would be awesome. So I hope this is a
Love
trend that
that.
continues.
For sure. For sure. I think this is just fantastic. It just goes into why I've been all in again on DC, the community initiatives with reaching out to websites and apps like Live Comic Geeks, which a lot of comic readers use. It is so, so, so cool. But also, like, it's just so interactive what DC is doing and so open. When they announced DCKO, it wasn't just like a PR post. It wasn't just a social media post. They had Joshua Williamson and Scott Snyder do a whole video on YouTube you can watch where they're explaining the event. The writers are explaining the event and be like, hey, this is what's going on. This is why we're doing it. And they're interacting with the readers or interacting with fans afterwards. It's very James Gunn with what he's been doing with the DCU. I love to see that. I have been loving that and seeing that trickle down to the comic space as well. It just feels nice. It's not hostile right now. Right now, it's not hostile. And I love
Yeah.
that. It just makes me happy.
Same. And I'll say too, like, again, you mentioned, Snyder and them, like, it feels like everyone behind the Absolute, this new thing, like you said, is just like very passionate about bringing it to as many people as possible. And I'll specifically shout out Scott Snyder because I mean he has been super generous with me and you personally. Like he
Yeah.
has reached out to us just randomly and like, hey, take a look at this. And I mean, no disrespect to us or anything, but I mean,
We're nobodies.
who are we, right? Like, it's like the fact that he is even aware that we exist is, I think, just a testament to like he's very tuned into what's going on. He very much wants the work to get out there. And like I said, I just think that's really awesome for someone at that status to be so open and willing with fans and get them involved in this, get the excitement for everyone. So yeah, shout out to Scott Snyder. Shout out to all the people in DC that's really kind of pushing this narrative of getting fans more involved because I think it's great.
Yeah. Shout out DC, shout out League of Comic Geeks as well for also like putting in the effort to have like an actual bracket where you get points and stuff for on their website, which is not like that's not what that website was made for. So they had to completely code that all in. And I just think that it's so cool. It made me so happy for the event. Side note, at my comic shop yesterday, inspired by this, what they did on the Comic Geeks app, we are doing brackets now in our comic shop for DCKO.
That's awesome. I love
Right?
it.
Like that's so fun.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows if there's gonna be a prize or whatever. And I don't care. But I just think that's so fun. It just creates more of that community, more excitement about an event. I don't know if I'm going to be picking up every DCKO book, I'll be honest. But there are several books that I read that will be tying into DCKO, and I will read and kind of pick up what's going on throughout that. Let's move on into our comic reviews. Sticking with DC, I have a heavy line of DC coming up. TJ, you've read this one. This is Absolute Evil #1. This is written by Al Ewing, who was also writing Absolute Green Lantern. Penciler Giuseppe Camuncoli, inker Stefano Nessi, colors Ramon Fajardo Jr., letterer Tom Napolitano, and editors Ash Padilla, Andrew Marino, and Chris Conroy. I want to get into non-spoiler thoughts on this first because holy cow, are there spoilers in this book? Can you read this without knowing anything going on in the Absolute universe? Theoretically, yes, you can. they do their best to describe what is going on with all these villains in this book. And essentially what this is all the villains across all the all the absolute DC books, honestly, with the exception of Martian Manhunter, are all kind of like sitting at a round table having a discussion. You have Veronica Cale, Hector Hammond, the Joker, Ra's al Ghul, and Eleanor Thawne just kind of all sitting down and having a discussion, a partnership, if you will. And the art, very good. I dug the art. Al Ewing, as we mentioned, has been doing Absolute Green Lantern. TJ, you and I both, Absolute Green Lantern is our least favorite of the Absolute books. However, Al Ewing is a great writer. You're a Thor guy. He is the All-Father.
The Al Father.
The Al Father. Yes, I was trying to my throat just kind of said all instead of Al there.
We got the Walt Father, we got the Al Father, so we'll see who's next.
So I don't want to say like I was worried because I was like, oh, it's Al Ewing, and I have been liking that book, so I don't know if I'm going to like this take on whatever he's doing here. It's great. This is my favorite book of the week. And because of the shock value events that happen in here, we do get our first appearance of Absolute Oliver Queen, Green Arrow. We do get a first appearance of a couple other characters as well. We go back in time a little bit. We get to see what happens to some classic DC heroes and what they've been doing in this Absolute universe in the past, and some questions answered there. We will get into that in the spoilers. But TJ, spoiler-free reaction to Absolute Evil number 1.
Loved it. I feel like I know we had no influence on this at all. This was already done before we did that episode. But we literally were just talking about this, how I think you agreed with me as well. You know, while we love the Absolute books, I was asking, like, I wonder how this all connects. Like, right? Like, how does Lazarus connect with what the Joker's doing, like his company? Like, it seems like there's all these companies, right? And we firmly get an answer here. We firmly finally see like how everything is sort of connected together, which, like I said, not saying in a bad way, but to me, that was one thing that I feel like has been kind of lacking in this Absolute, is, like I said, just kind of seeing how these things fit together. Like, we know they're all in the same universe, but every title is so different from each other. And I think this was a much needed little single issue to get us ready for this kind of next wave of this story as it relates to Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman. And like I said, finally get us on the road of like, oh, these are the people orchestrating all of this. This is how it all ties with each other. So we can continue our separate stories, but also in the back of our minds know how this is all playing off each other. So absolutely loved it. I will say I'll push back a little bit on you don't have to be reading the Absolute to understand this issue, because there were a couple characters in here even I was like, wait, who's that? Like, I'm not sure. Because like you said, we're behind on Green Lantern, so like that guy, I was like, who the heck?
Hector Hammond. I'm like, when did Hector Hammond get involved?
Exactly.
But they do have the lines of dialogue in there where it's like, yes, you've been dealing with the Green Lantern stuff, and I was like, oh, okay,
exactly. So like, I won't say like you'll be completely lost. You can jump into this, but I would say like you might be a little confused. I would, maybe brush up on some summaries of the Absolute. But yeah, well executed, really good.
Yes. Let's get into spoilers, because you kind of have to when talking about this book, because there's so much that happens.
Dude, AF is gonna be pissed. He's been having a rough. Him and Ollie have been having a rough couple weeks, dude.
Oh man! Before I get into the fates of some characters, I want to get into something Joker specifically says, because this Joker is a man who never jokes. He's a very serious man, and according to not even a variant, according to a cover of Absolute Batman, maybe more than a man. Some Dark Soul level craziness going on there. But before we get to that, this Joker has kind of figured out why everything in the universe is the way it is, because they have realized that these heroes of the past, Wesley Dodds, Wildcat, they all just kind of went away. Wesley Dodds kind of handled by the government. Wildcat bribed away from the government. Crazy. Traitor. Yeah, I know. Boo. But he just kind of sits back and he's like, we have the universe on our side. We have God on our side who's helping us dictate. Everything that's been going on with the way that heroes just disappear and we still stay in power. It's like gravity. The river flows downwards, and it's because of this. It's because of this omega particle, which we all know this is a universe created by Darkseid. It's the universe where evil always wins. But to them, it's not evil. To them, it's justice. And we'll get to that in a little bit as well. But yes, let's go back to the Ollie Queen thing. Oliver Queen in this issue starts off with him being like, yeah, I'm going to take down all these guys. Oh, here we go. The bro's dead. Straight up taken out by Carter Hall Hawkman. Ooh, never trust a Hawkman, TJ. Never trust a Hawkman, apparently. Ollie Queen completely taken out. So what does that leave for an absolute Green Arrow book that we know is coming out? Well, I think we're going to assume Roy's probably taking over that book, or someone else, maybe a Black Canary situation, being the absolute Green Arrow. I think that now that Ollie's out of the way, I'm sorry, Ollie, the Archer fans of the DC and Marvel world right now just like clutching their hearts because we just had Clint Barton, spoilers, Loki die last week. You know, we have Ollie Queen this week die, man. Ouch. You're muted. You are muted, good friend. TJ, you are muted.
Oh my god. I was just gonna say I totally forgot about Clint last week. That's hilarious, dude. What is up with the Archers? You better watch out for Kate, man. Left and right, man. I hope Kate doesn't have a book soon.
Just keep her away, man. Keep her away.
Oh, dude, and she spoilers again. She got vaporizing zombies. So that's 3 Archer deaths in just like 2 weeks.
That's true.
Damn, I can't even think of
TJ called it Kate and Marvel Zombies, man. What a week for my Archers. Thankfully, I'm not a huge Ollie Queen fan, but if I was, I know several, and they're probably not happy. We also get the introduction. Actually, I'll go back to the Justice thing. So, Thawne, Hammond, Joker, Ra's al Ghul, Veronica Cale, they're all sitting there being like, this isn't a friendship, this is a partnership, because what we believe is justice. And they create the absolute Justice League in the Hall of Justice. And it's theirs. Great twist. The title change at the end, the title changes at the very end to saying it's not absolute evil, it is absolute justice. And then we get an introduction to a character that may just change the way I look at my DCKO bracket. Because we are introduced to absolute Lex Luthor, who gets a phone call. And it's Brainiac who's behind it. Because Brainiac is behind Ra's al Ghul's eyes. Ra's al Ghul has essentially partnered with Brainiac to be his literal brains. And Brainiac calls in Lex to help balance this quote-unquote absolute Justice League. Where that leads to, who knows? But very cool. It was really neat to see throughout the issue. You get flashbacks into all the absolute titles. You get flashbacks to just things in the past of the absolute universe that we haven't seen. I thought this was so well done. 5 out of 5. Actually, did I give it 5 out of 5? 4.5 out of 5. I don't know why I get 4.5 out of 5 because I thought Joker's little monologue went on a little long.
I liked his monologue. I mean, that's another thing I loved about this issue is it was, at least I think, kind of our first time really seeing the absolute Joker. Like, we've got little glimpses of him, obviously, but not like a huge dialogue. So I thought that was, I'll agree it went on a little long, but I liked it just because, like I said, it kind of gave me an insight of what this guy's about. And sorry, I got a garbage truck outside. I don't know if it's super loud like it is in here. But yeah, I love how he's just like a super intelligent, like, I mean, obviously we see kind of loses it a little bit, so not very level-headed, but kind of, you know what I mean? Like he was kind of the calm person of the group and like just very logical, very intelligent. I like that take a lot. And I'll also Lex Luthor, man. I told you how many times have I said it. You never can trust a Lex Luthor with hair, and we got hair and a beard, so you know, dude's about to be super evil. So yeah, I'm excited.
It reminds me of the Lex that we just got at the end of Superman, who's a good guy or was a good guy. He's kind of in a little bit of Lex Luthor limbo right now. But it reminds me a little bit of that. So we'll see what goes on with absolute Lex Luthor. TJ, what would you rate this before we move on?
I'll also say 4 out of 5 for sure.
You say 4 out of 5? I give it a 4.5.
4.5. Yeah.
Okay.
4.5. Yeah, I agree.
All right. 9 out of 10 for those who like to do it out of 10. On to Batman. This is written by one of my favorite writers, Matt Fraction. This is from artist Jorge Jimenez, colorist Tomeo Mori, letterer Clayton Cowles, editors Jessica Barbe and Rob Levin. This is Batman number 2. A lot of positive talk after the first issue of Batman, maybe because it is a little bit of a return to bat form, if you will. We're not dealing with multiple Jokers. We're not dealing with failsafe anymore. We're just kind of dealing with Gotham. He has some money again. Alfred, we're not bringing him back from the dead just yet. Hopefully we don't ever, personally. But we're trying to bring him back to form.
What's your beef with Alfred, dude?
I just don't like bringing characters back to life after they die. I think it's a pretty important thing, especially with what's been going on with Nightwing in Bloodhaven and how the death of Alfred really affected him and what he was able to accomplish in Bloodhaven after Alfred's death. Whenever you reverse something, to me, it kind of undoes a lot of the good that you do when you tell that story.
See, I don't know nothing about that, but free my boy Alfred, man.
Nah, you go. And we don't get Ghost or AI Alfred in this issue either, so thank you for that. I do not hate Alfred.
Yeah, blasphemy,
I do think,
dude. Blasphemy. I didn't even know Alfred was dead, so I'm getting
he died a while ago. Yeah, died a while ago. Before I get into the story, I will say Jorge Jimenez art is incredible. Jorge Jimenez is a incredible artist. There's one page in here of the Batmobile going down like a Gotham City highway, and it is just gorgeous. I love the art in this issue. Again, Matt Fraction, one of my all-time favorite writers. I think this book is good. I don't think it is great. I think it is good. Story-wise, what's been going on is we get a little bit of flashback of Batman teaching Tim, who is the Robin right now in this story, how to drive a car, and he's really struggling with stick shift. And that's going to play a story later on, obviously, because what car do you think has a stick shift that he's going to have to drive? Tim tries to save a guy in an alleyway. Not tries to save a guy in an alleyway. There was like a robbery in an alleyway, and cops show up. Cops shoot the guy who's trying to run away. And Tim's like, "What the hell, dude? This is just a guy. He's just running away. He's not doing any harm. Why'd you shoot him?" More cops show up, and some cops are now like, "We don't like the vigilantes," and the other cops are like, "Nah, they help us." And we have a new commissioner who is just so anti-vigilante that he's just going after Batman and Robin and all the vigilantes in Gotham. And I think that's fine. The problem is, for me, as someone who's been reading Nightwing book, that's pretty much the same thing of what's going on in Nightwing and Bloodhaven. So it's repetitive. It's very repetitive for characters who are very closely tied together too. There's some very Matt Fraction things in here. Whenever Tim uses either like a gas bomb or whatever, you get like a little infograph of what it is and what it does. That's a very Matt Fraction thing. We saw that in Hawkeye, and I think that is still neat and fun, and it works very well for Batman. Batman gets shot. Tim Drake gets shot. Tim Drake has to rush Batman home in the Batmobile. and he has to learn, go back to the whole driving thing. I think this issue is fun. It has some heartfelt moments, which is nice. Tim Drake again, probably like my least favorite Robin. I'm sorry, just not my favorite. But I think it's fine. I think it is a very fresh, safe palate cleanser of Batman.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not reading this, but from what I hear about it, if they're continuing with like the anthology sort of style to it, where each issue is just kind of its own separate adventure.
It's
If you
not so
didn't
much
like
that.
this one, then
It's not so
it's
much that. The
not. That's
stories
how
are
I.
continue. Yeah, the stories are continuing. Where it leaves off in the last issue, it picks up here. But
Okay,
the story itself, it just seems a bit safe.
Okay. I understood it as like each issue had a beginning and a definitive end, and then like it was like different cases or whatever. Obviously, I'm wrong, but yeah, I was just gonna say if you didn't like this one, hopefully the next adventure is better. But yeah, shout out to the art though.
Oh, the art is incredible. The colors, Mail Mori's colors, so bright, so vivid, but also a high contrast because it's Gotham. You need some dark contrast in there between like a black and a blue, which is very similar to what Batman's suit is right now. I think it's good. I think like I'm still gonna pick it up actually. Like I've been enjoying it. It's just not like blowing me away. But it's
Fair.
safe. It's a very safe Batman book, and I kind of feel like they need that after the last couple of runs that they had. So, 4 out of 5.
Ooh,
4 out of 5, I'll give it.
higher than I was expecting.
Okay. Absolute Superman number 12, written by Jason Aaron, artist Rafa Sandoval, colorist Ulysses Areola, letterer Becky Carey, editors Ash Padilla and Chris Conroy. This is actually kind of the start to a new arc. I did not realize that when picking up because I assumed issue 12 would have been the end of a second arc, like you have 6 issues. But it's not. My big thing with this book is it is very sci-fi based. And I'm fine with that. I am totally fine with that. I think Superman works like we all know Superman works very well when it is sci-fi. But my big thing with this is Superman represents hope. In all of the absolute titles, you take away a huge aspect of that character, but they are still them in the end. Batman, you take away his money and everything. What is he? He's still freaking Batman, right? He still cares about Gotham and he cares about his friends and people he's close with. You take away Diana growing up in paradise and experiencing the outside world by throwing her in hell and experiencing the outside world. And she's also a witch. What is she? Still compassionate, still cares, still gives people a chance. You have a Superman now who did not grow up in Smallville, has been on the run throughout the whole world because he's been chased by the Lazarus Corporation, who saw his planet die, who knew his parents. And he's just angry. But there's restraint. So it's not so much hope that the Superman gives you. It is restraint that the Superman shows where he has, if you've been reading this, I think most people would agree, every right to just destroy, to annihilate, to just let it all out and just be like, I'm done, I'm leaving. He has every right to do that. But the restraint that this Superman shows, to me, is his hope. That is his compassion. And we finally get to see a little bit of a lighter side. We see in this issue the first of the Fortress of Solitude. In a way, it's kind of like a mobile Fortress of Solitude. It's not just in one specific place. It is Soul. So those who do not know, Soul is like this AI cape that he has that was created by his mother and given to him. Essentially, that was his ship on his way home. It's like particles that can also like solidify in a way. So
Isn't
weird,
it
like I
like
said,
the red
sci-fi.
dust of like they made it from the dust to it?
A little bit, yeah. That's kind of like it's like the red dust of the Redlands that he is from, because this Superman also is very blue collar. His parents were blue collar. They were miners, essentially. He's still filled with anger, but the way he deals with it is different. So the hope is there, but when he goes into his fortress of solitude, he's like, guys, I just got to be alone. And he calls, because it is like an AI cape, he has it so it's like he can talk to it and he refers to it as a friend. That's the cape. The weird thing to me that I'm a little off by, just because I've always said like Superman is Superman no matter what situation you put him in. It seems like the cape has been Soul, the AI, has been like his guiding voice to stop him from doing what he wants to do. Not him doing what he wants to do, but the voice itself, which is kind of like the voice of his parents, of his mother, in a way, because she programmed it. But I wish it was just more on him and not so much like a reminder that this AI is giving him to be like, remember who you are. Don't do this. So my issue with that is there. We had a huge moment at the end of last issue where like Superman had his hands on Brainiac's throat. And it was like, oh crap. Ra's al Ghul and Brainiac got to him. They got to his head. He's about to snap. We pick up this issue. We're already out of it. And they just like a throwaway line and be like, thank you, Soul, for getting me out of there before I did something stupid. And I'm like, I don't like being told and not shown. I would like to be shown, but that dinged a couple points for me on that. Otherwise, the art is still very good. I still very much enjoy the story, and we get to see more of Smallville here. He lands in Smallville. He gets to see Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen. They have a handshake and they're like, nice to finally meet you. We are finally on the same side after all this craziness that happened over with Brainiac and Ra's al Ghul. We also get to see a little bit like some folks of Smallville, Lana Lang in a nice diner. But how does this end? The fine folks of Lazarus are rolling into Smallville because that's where Superman, Lois, and they all are. And they're ready just to scorch Earth to get to him. So there you go. That's absolute Superman number 12. Again, I think the art in here is great. I have some small issues with the story. I really just want his hope to come from inside him, because to me that is Superman rather than just like kind of being told. But you know, it's solid. It's not my favorite Superman book on the shelf. I'll say that much.
I really enjoyed it. For me, I think the soul stuff I personally really enjoyed, because like you were saying, it kind of really hits on that hope note. And I would say, which I'm not as knowledgeable as other people, and I'm sure this has changed with the billion different Earths and reboots that DC has had, but to me it reminds me it's similar to like the message that he gets from his parents, like in some of the other origin stories where like they leave him with a little, you know, you're the last son, blah blah blah. And it's like in that version I could see where he uses that as his guiding light to remind him who he is. But here it's the same concept but an AI a little bit more interactive, which I think is a cool idea because like you said, it's definitely more sci-fi, which I'm also a huge fan of the sci-fi vein. But it also kind of made me sad because being a student of the game of comic books, I've read a lot of these things and I know they're setting us up to kill Saul, or like something bad is going to happen to him.
Oh yeah.
He's going to turn evil, something bad, and it is going to break my heart, which I mean, that makes a good book. So, you know, that makes a good story. You kind of want to break the reader's heart a little bit before you put it back together. But that one, I guess, kind of spoilers. There's one panel where Superman's like, Saul, are you there? And you see the dust like leaving his hand. And I'm like, if that's not foreshadowing, I don't know what is, man. So yeah, it makes me worried for our boy. But yeah, I really enjoyed this issue.
Yes, they do set it up because how the hell am I ever getting attached to a cape made of dust? He's like, yes, Soul, you have been my friend. You're like a brother. You're not just Soul. You're Soul L. And I'm like, God damn it.
Dude, Soul L, come on. Like, I love that.
Either
I love it.
that or Soul is going to manifest into an actual being and become Supergirl.
Okay, now we're getting a little crazy.
Oh, I'm sorry, sci-fi book getting crazy.
I don't know. That seems a little out there, but hey, I'm with it, man. I'm with it.
Soul gets its way into a being, and it's like Android.
Well, if it's like a General Zod, but like they're cool, like they're homies.
We'll figure it out. We'll piece this together.
Yeah, I don't know about the Supergirl thing. That seems crazy. But like I said, it's crazy in the way that I'm totally in on it. Like that would be insane, and I'm totally on board.
Okay. All right, this is the last DC book of the week. Prelude to DC. Jam, before we get back, I think Soul is going to be the AI that runs the fortress. Yeah, sure. Prelude to DCKO Justice League, the Omega X special. The race is on to save the DC universe. This is written by Joshua Williamson. Artists Yasmin Putri and Cyan Tormi. Colors Yasmin Putri also doing the art, and the letter Dave Sharp. If you've been reading Justice League, if you've been reading Superman, if you know what's been going on with those two books and you've been keeping up with those two before DCKO, I'm going to be completely honest. You do not need to read this. It is essentially summarizing everything that has been going on between Time Trapper and Superman and Booster Gold and what DCKO is going to be about. And that's the story. Look, the art in here is solid. You get some cool flash moments. It's essentially it's a prelude issue. It's if you haven't been reading anything, this is what it's designed for. It literally catches you up to speed about what's about to happen. So do you need to read it if you're like me, who has been reading Superman and has been listening to AF whenever he's on? He should be on again next week, by the way, to give us a lovely recap of Justice League Unlimited. No. Is it still a neat story? Sure. Flash fans, you get a little bit of a Flash love in here. But it's a book that I read and I'm like, I didn't really learn anything new other than it gives you some new backstory into what they are fighting to be, which is essentially a Kryptonian legend of the absolute champion, which is supposed to be the thing that is the end-all be-all fight against Darkseid. There you go. That's absolute. That's Justice League, the Omega X special. Not a whole lot happens in terms of if you've been reading a lot of things like we have, but if you haven't, because comics are expensive, I get it. There you go. It's a good little prelude to DCKO. TJ, maybe it's something you would be able to read just because you haven't been keeping up with Superman and Justice League.
I would say this would appeal to someone like me because, like you said, I'm not keeping up with everything. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's just, depending on what you're reading. Like I said, for someone like me, this is very attractive because I have no idea what's going on. But if you have been keeping up with it, I'm sure it's just like, well, that was kind of a waste of time.
Yeah, like I feel bad about like rating it anything. I would give it like a 3.5 just because it's like I've been knowing things. But if you haven't, then there you go. All right, let's get to Marvel. Ultimate Marvel, because that's all we really talk about with Marvel.
Hey, we're just waiting for Hulk.
Yep. Ultimate Wolverine number 10. This is written by Chris Condon, artist Alex Lins, colors Brian Valenza, and letterer Corey Pettit. This feels a little bit like a tweener issue at the end of the last arc. We have a new artist coming in. I don't know if this is a permanent artist change or just like a fill-in with Alex Lins. The art style changes ever so slightly. It is really difficult to come in and replace a very high quality artist. But I think Alex Lins does a very good job at it and keeping their style with it as well. I actually want to hear your thoughts on this first, TJ. I've been talking a lot. I want to hear your thoughts on this first because this book has had a lot of mixed reviews, and I want to hear yours before I give mine.
Well, I guess I'm gonna have to stir the pot as well, because I mean, I don't want to say I didn't like this issue. It was a good issue, especially the fight at the end. Awesome. It feel like it's maintained the kind of action feel that it's had since its start. Like it's a very action heavy book, which I obviously enjoy. But I gotta be honest, man. This series has not been as high for me ever since we dropped the Winter Soldier thing. And I don't know if, like I said, I just thought that was so cool and I wanted more of that. So I'm being selfish. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just, again, this is obviously very personal for me. I'm not commenting on the story itself. I think the story, like the bare bones of it, I like. I like the concept. I like what we're doing. But yeah, it's just not, I don't feel invested. I don't really feel invested with this version of Logan, as I feel like we haven't really seen enough of the mutant resistance yet for me to be fully invested in the characters specifically. Like I'm invested in their mission as a whole, but individual characters I don't find myself very invested in. So yeah, like I said, I don't mean for that to sound like I'm, bashing the issue by any means. It's still good. The story is still good. Just for me personally, I just really loved that first arc, and I feel like I've been waiting for that kind of feeling again, and I haven't gotten it.
I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum. I loved
Perfect.
this issue.
Perfect.
I loved this issue. I thought so. What they did here is they reintroduced Sabretooth in this issue, and he was just kind of like, "Hey, man, remember those kids I had in that really cool issue where we fought? I need to get them out of here because I'm starting to feel like a daddy to them, and this world sucks, and I need to get them the hell out of here." And Logan's like, "Respect. I can appreciate that." And Sabretooth's like, "Hey, man, by the way, here's a sword that cuts a soul if you ever need it."
Yeah.
I'm
I
like,
love the Predator, handshake in there too. That was
yeah,
great.
I was like, ooh, okay, that's cool. But what I've been digging the most about this has actually been, shocker, everyone, like the Colossus Magic Omega Red factor and just how evil they are. Like, we haven't seen an evil version of Colossus like this really ever. Like, we've seen like kind of like a bad dude Colossus who had like the Juggernaut uh avatar deity like overtaking him. He would get to a point, but this is like a fully evil Peter, which I think is like fascinating. And of
And I'll
course, I'm
agree with you on that
yeah.
too. I think that's another thing I wish we got more of that as well, like that kind of side of things. And I will say, amazing art by Alex Lins and colors by Brian Valenza. So again, no diss here, but it did very much take me aback to see a Colossus with pupils in the last couple pages. I was like, "Whoa, this is weird, man." He did completely changes the face. It's so weird how
Oh
such a
yeah.
small detail does that. But yeah, that took me aback a little bit.
Yeah, it is also challenging. Like I said, you're coming in for Alessandro Capuccio, who is like world class artist, and you come in with a different style. But I think the style worked for this issue. Um, this, like we said, there's a huge fight in here. Uh, they send Omega Red to try to take out, like they find the secret base in Chernobyl, like the leaders of the Eurasian Republic do, and they send Omega Red to take him out. And Mikhail Rasputin, who is in the mainline universe, by the way, the evil sibling of Magic and Colossus, who is the leader of the opposition here. He's theoretically a good guy. I'm still not fully trusting him. Omega Red tries to take him out. They get him Colossus back in his desk area, gets a little box after the fight, opens the box, and it's Omega Red's head in the box with a little note that says, "Never send a Rosovich to do a Rasputin's job." Love that. I love that. I do fear for Absolute Magic, but she's not a good gal in this universe, so I think I'm gonna have to take the bullet on this one. I love this issue. I thought this whole thing ripped. I am fine moving on with the Wolverine, not the Wolverine, but the Winter Soldier stuff, I'm fine moving on. We had 6 dope issues with it. And I think if we went any longer than that, it would have been a problem. Like I would have got bored essentially because he couldn't talk. And that was half the struggle. So solid issue for me. I gave it a 4.5.
That's totally fair. I would give it a 3.5 personally because for the things I mentioned. And I'll also say, just to kind of clarify my position, to better word it, I would say it's not necessarily that he's not the Winter Soldier anymore. To me, I just think the vibe of the book has changed a little bit, which understandably. And like I said, I just was really a fan of that more kind of brutal vibe we had in that first, which again, not saying it's not anymore, but yeah, like I said, more so vibe than actually like the title of Winter Soldier. But I'll be in the minority on this one. You and Jam are loving it, and I love it for that reason. So I love what the homies love.
Our other ultimate book of the week, Ultimate X-Men, written by Peach Momoko and Zach Davison. Peach Momoko, incredible artist and painter with the art, letter of Travis Lanham, and editors Michelle Marshes and Will Moss. This is a huge setup issue to what's going on later in this Ultimate X-Men book. I assume it's still continuing after Ultimate Endgame because they set up a few things here. We set up that the government with the Emperor is here's the true Ultimate X-Men book. I actually kind of said, like, I don't want to say this was a make or break book for me. I've been really loving this book. I know you have been really loving this book as well. And you give it 2 thumbs up. But, comics are expensive. And I was thinking about maybe potentially dropping some things. And this was on the chopping block. And this issue was a make or break. And it made it. Like it brought me back because I thought what they set up in this issue was so cool. We get like a true little, like the little X team. There's a lot of teams going on right now. We have government conspiracies. I thought the flow of this issue in particular was really well done from Peach Momoko and Zach, because sometimes earlier on in this run, I would highly suggest it reads much better as a trade, just because you can have whole issues where there's like 6 words. And that's just a style of, Eastern manga. It just is. So once again, for anyone who has not been liking this book, we're now 20 issues in. If you don't like it at this point, I don't think you will like it. I'm sorry. I, again, do not see this as like an X-Men book. It's more New Mutants. It's more Runaways. But I love it for that because it's so different. I think this is the best mutant X-Men thing Marvel's putting out right now. And we have a whole event.
Agreed.
And I think this is the best mutant thing that Marvel's putting out right now. TJ, did you get the chance to read this issue?
Unfortunately not. I forgot that it was on the list, so it slipped past me. But I am caught up, so I can agree with you on all those points. I love this book. I love the kind of mystery aspect. Like Teach said, I love a team and I love a government conspiracy. So this is just a win series for me. I think it's a great example. Like you were just talking about, we talk about this exhaustingly at this point, but we are both just such big fans of Peach Momoko and her art. And I think this book's a great example of art and story just working so well together. Like you said, there's some issues that have like 6 words, but it really, I mean, again, like I think some people not forget, but comics, that's what makes comics is it's a visual and, you read it and the visual medium of it. So I think this leverages both of those in perfect harmony, and it's entertaining in both story and visual sense. And I love it. Love it. One of my favorite Ultimate books, honestly. And I know that's like crazy to say because there's such good ones, but for like a story aspect, I love this series. And I guess a little spoilers, but is Hisako and Kageyama still in that tree, or do they get out?
Hisako's out. Kageyama is kind of MIA, and we didn't really know what happened to him. Kageyama is a Shadow King in this universe, for those who have not been reading. We don't really know what happened to him at the end where he kind of took down the Maester, but seemingly he still lurks. We still have his presence felt, and he is still out there somewhere. I also really like they kind of brought back Surge a bit in this issue too, and shows that she has a bit of a heart. And not just like she was angry. She's always been angry, but she has a little bit of a heart and seems to be helping some people, some other kids in her area. So been digging it. This was, as I said, a little bit of a make or break issue with me when it comes to putting this on like a monthly pull list. You made the cut, Peach. You made the cut. Over to Mad Cave. Speed Racer number 3, written by friend of the show David Pepos, artist Davide Tinto, colorist Rex Locus, and letter Buddy Bowden. TJ, what's the monkey rating? How many monkeys we get in this issue?
Dude, 5 out of 5 monkey. I get 4 out of
5
5
out of 5
monkeys.
monkey.
We get more Chim Chim than we have in the previous issues, so I love it. We also get him and, excuse me, I forget the brother's name. I'm not, huge Speed Racer lore, but I do remember that him and the monkey would hang out in the trunk of the car, and we get that in this issue. So I loved that. It, knocked the nostalgia out of my memory from when I did watch Speed Racer. And I mean, we get another awesome car chase, like a car race. It's very much like a, Tokyo Drift kind of thing where just like everybody races cars. That's just like the thing you do in this universe. And we're introduced to, I guess, a new character for me, but I'm sure is very important in the Speed Racer lore, Racer X. So we get a really cool kind of race between Speed Racer, Racer X. We get the evil, racer team coming in to foil the thing. And we also get a really good tease at the end. So set up the story a little bit. Speed Racer, his dad had a heart attack and got jumped by this rival racer club goons. So he is in the hospital. Whole thing is that he wants to win this big race to get enough money for his dad's heart transplant. And his older brother, died in one of these races. So there's this whole kind of avenge my brother, get the money. And we get a little nod at the end of this that there might be a little bit more to the brother's death than we originally realized. So yeah, action packed. We get a little some mystery involved in it. Progress with this whole kind of narrative with the rival Speed Racer group. And yeah, just really cool, really fun. The car chase, shout out David Tinto and Rex Locus for the art and colors, because the racing is very dynamic. I think I'm not an artist, but I would imagine it's very hard to make an object look like it's moving when it's just a static, small panel image. So to make it feel exciting and like adrenaline pumping when it's just a static image, really, really great. So yeah, 4.5 out of 5 for me. It was really, really good. We're still very early on, but I think that also is a testament to how well the pacing of this series is so far, because I mean, every issue is exciting and we're only 3 in. So I can only imagine once the story really gets kicking in, how intense it's going to be.
Over to Boom Studios. This is our last book of the week. This is Something is Killing the Children, number 44. 44 issues of Something is Killing the Children. This is written by James Tynion IV, artist Werther Deladera, colors Michaela Muerto, letter and world design, and editors Maya Bollinger, Eric Harbin, and Ramiro Partnoy. This is my favorite non-DC, non-Marvel, non-superhero, anything comic book. I love this book with every fiber of my being. So let me sit you down when I say sometimes this book is so fucking frustrating to read. Because we are in the midst, I kind of have to talk about spoilers here. We are kind of in the midst of a flashback right now. We had a huge critical thing that happened to our main character, Erica Slaughter, happen almost like 10 issues ago, and we've just been living in the past, telling past stories for the past like almost dozen issues. It feels like it's crazy. And we are in the midst of finding out essentially what happened on a trip between her and her mentor, Jessica. Extraordinarily important moment in Sick Tick, Something's Killing Children lore. So what do we do in this issue in the midst of a flashback, TJ? We have a flashback to the flashback. And the story isn't complete by the end of this issue in a flashback to the flashback. Once again, when you're reading this monthly, it is so frustrating because sometimes nothing happens in an issue other than you set up the next issue. So when you read this in trade, it's phenomenal because you're getting a complete story. And I love this story. And the pacing when you read it in a trade is so good because you sit in a moment just long enough that like it pays off 2 issues later. When you're reading this monthly, it's like, all right, we just set up another thing within a setup. And you're like, damn, gonna have to wait another month. And that's neat because like in a way, it's like, yes, it's cool because now I'm really excited for the next issue, right? But individually, when I look at this as just a singular comic, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. I still love this book with every fiber of my being. I know for a fact, the reason I'm not so incredibly annoyed and angry is because I know this will absolutely 100% pay off literally next issue. Literally next issue it will. But we're in the midst of a flashback to the flashback. And we just introduced that flashback in this singular issue. That's all we did. It's like, fuck. It's like, okay.
Yeah, monthly releases are hard for me personally. I mean, I think it's because we read so much stuff. Yes. For me, monthly releases are really hard to keep up with, and a lot of times it causes me to kind of fizzle out with it. So yeah, that would really frustrate me, especially since like with the Ultimate line, like those are monthly, but there's so many titles, it kind of stacks out to where we're getting something at least, pretty much every other week. I mean, sometimes maybe longer, but yeah, that would be really, really frustrating.
And
flashback,
look, again,
flashback.
And again, it's going to pay off so well when you read this in trade. When you read this as a completed story, this is going to be so good. I know it will be. I fully trust it. Just as an individual issue, it's just like, bang. It's like, it reads like a manga because of that. Where a manga, nothing can happen in an entire issue, but it's fine. You'll get it next week. But this isn't a week thing. You'll get it in the next 3-4 weeks. Hopefully, so long as there's no delays. So I still love it. I just think individually, this is a weak issue. Mm-hmm. But when you will put it in a collective, it's going to be great.
It happens. It happens with every series. We always have the stinkers, or I don't want to say stinkers, but
because it's not a stinker. Yeah, it's like I know it's going to like be rewarding, like how we set things up and things. But I'm like, I kind of just wish that like halfway through this issue, the flashback starts, and I just wish like the whole issue was that full story. You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah. All right, next week's polls. Oh, I only have 4 books. Thank the Lord. Absolute Batman number 13. We will absolutely be talking about that. Supergirl number 6. Fun book. It's just kind of like a joy to read. Nothing too serious. Superman, the Kryptonite Spectrum number 3, also out next week. If you're looking for a really wild Black Label DC book. Black Label means Elseworld. It's its own universe. It's not canon. You can do whatever the hell you want. A very fun book where it's Superman testing different colors of kryptonite on himself to see what the hell happens. It's a big Mad Lab experience. And also Ultimate Black Panther 21, coming off arguably the best issue of Black Panther, Ultimate Black Panther. Just go back to Sick Tick. Do you think this whole book will be a trade? Is on his radar? Sick Tick, like we are now like 8. I'm literally looking over at my collection now. 8-9 volumes in. They just released the first 4, I believe, the first 4 as like a compendium. and you can get that now. There's a bunch of different ways to read it. You can get it through the first 3 volumes are essentially the first story. Volume 4 is a lore building story for Sick I Jam, if you need anything Sick I got you with that because I love that series and I can help you out there. TJ, what is on your radar next week?
Literally the exact same thing, except Captain Planet and the Planeteers, baby. Number 6.
Yeah.
I love it. I cannot wait for Captain Planet. I also have Avengers number 31, which I'll shout out as well because I'm super
You're still reading
behind.
Avengers?
I honestly, I might have taken it off my list. I can't remember, but it has a cover of Kang. Kang's on the cover, and I'm a big fan of Kang, so that's exciting.
Okay.
But yeah, I have no idea what's going on, but I was really enjoying that series. So if anyone is keeping up with that, let me know if it's still hitting. But yeah, other than that, same thing.
Planeteers, stick on watch for next week because it's another week of Peppos. I feel like there isn't like a week where we don't have a Peppos book.
No, yeah, every week we have it, which I am a huge fan of. I love it. I love all 3 series. So it's Popo's world, baby. We're just living in it. We're all the Planeteers. Popo's is Captain Planet. We're all just the Planeteers. He kind of looks like him on one of those covers, low key. But
all right,
yeah,
that'll do it. Agents of Peppos. That'll do it for this issue of the Comic Corner. Thank you all, Jam, Brandon, TJ, Tyrese. Thank you everyone for tuning in live. We love you all. Thank you so much. As always, go support your local comic shop. Go to comicshoplocator.com to find the nearest comic shop near you. I am not paid to say this in any way, but also go check out the Comic Geeks app because it is just a delight. So much fun to be on there, interacting with other comic fans. Some people a little harsher than others on some comics. You get some more mixed reviews, but you know, when you have a review social media app, that will happen. But go fill out your brackets, y'all. Go fill out your brackets. DCKO is in full swing and super fun with that. So once again, that'll do it. TJ, thank you so much for waking up early to be with us. That's always appreciated.
It's more than a pleasure.
Everyone, we'll see you next week, 10 a.m. Eastern. As always, stay well, be safe, and go enjoy some comic books.